Over the past 2 years, I've joined a new clan, or regiment as we call them in Foxhole, every 1 to 2 wars, which puts me currently at 16 different regiments that I've been a part of on both the colonial and the warden side. When I first started switching regiments, my goal was to find a group I resonated with the most. However, once I began creating Foxhole content, I decided that I wanted to join a new regiment every other war to better understand how they operate and how they played the game. I've had the opportunity to experience a wide variety of regiments. Massive ones with thousands of members, medium-sized groups with 50 to 60 people, and smaller regiments with fewer than 20 people. Today I want to share what I've learned about regiments in Foxhole to help you make an informed decision about which regiment you should join or if you should join one at all. Finding the right regiment can be challenging for new players. With hundreds of regiments to choose from, it's important to know what sets each one apart. Some regiments specialize in special roles such as logistics, artillery, or Navy operations, while others are organized around factors like shared native languages or preferred time zones. When I work with new players and teach them the game, one question that comes up quite frequently is should they join a regiment? My first response to this question is that yes, they should consider joining a regiment. There are several reasons why I recommend joining a regiment early on. The first reason is because many regiments are excellent at training new players. They are able to train new players in combat, logistics, or any other specific role the player might want to know more about. Foxhole, in all honesty, is not an easy game to learn on your own. It's far better experienced with others. Instead of wandering around aimlessly or wondering what you should do next, you'll receive guidance and direction from experienced players within the regiment. Another reason I encourage new players to join a regiment is that it helps reduce the grind. For example, a solo player might spend hours gathering and refining materials just to build a single tank for the front lines. In a regiment, that workload is shared among members, ensuring that you don't burn out early in the game. When I first started playing Foxhole, I mainly did solo logistics. If I wanted to get anything done, I would have to go gather the materials myself, refine them, and do factory runs for hours to build up supplies to bring to the front. But once I joined a regiment, everything became easier. I could focus on the parts of logistics I enjoyed, like gathering, and leave the rest to my teammates. It was less stressful and made the game far more enjoyable. Another benefit is that new players can use vehicles and ships that would normally not be available right away to solo casual players. Want to try out a super heavy tank? You'll need a regiment for that. Interested in commanding a battleship? That's another task best tackled with a regiment. Some aspects of Foxhole are designed to be collaborative, and regiments make these experiences possible. Not only does this teamwork enhance the game, but it also fosters a sense of belonging and purpose as you contribute to your regiment's projects and goals. Regiments are constantly working on various projects. Anytime I log on, all I have to do is ask in regiment chat who needs help, and I'll be given a list of tasks and projects that I can do. It could be anything from delivering shells to an artillery group, or crafting weapons and ammo for future operations. This is one of my favorite parts about being in a regiment because there's always something that needs to be done. While I felt like I was contributing to the war effort as a solo player, contributing within a regiment feels different. The impact of your efforts becomes immediately visible. Regiments simply get things done faster and more efficiently than solo players. For example, I've participated in train supply runs with regiments that involved moving 10 to 15 crates of supplies from the backline. On my own, this would have taken me hours. But with a team, it took less than 1 hour. And the final benefit of joining a regiment is access to veteran knowledge. Most of the bigger established groups in Foxhole have a lot of vet players that know all the tips and tricks about Foxhole. You will learn things within the first few hours of the game that some solo players don't learn until they've played for hundreds of hours. And these are just a few of the benefits of joining a regiment. While there are many more, I'll stop here for now and keep things moving. Next, let's talk about requirements for joining a regiment. When speaking with new players, there seems to be this preconceived notion that being in a clan strips you of all your freedom, and that all clans have crazy activity or requirements which are unattainable to anyone who wants to play this game casually. I'm here to correct and debunk that notion. In reality, about 95% of regiments in Foxhole are casual, and have no mandatory playtimes or activities that you must participate in. There is a small minority of regiments with strict requirements. They cater to players who enjoy a more structured experience. The majority of regiments, though, are welcoming to casual players, including those who can only contribute an hour or two per week. But with that said, don't be surprised if you're removed from a regiment if you're only logging on to join tank crews or command battleships without contributing in any other way. Most regiments expect a reasonable level of participation, but this is rarely monitored or enforced. Out of the 16 regiments that I've been a part of, a group has never told me directly to do any specific logi work, or to be a slave at a facility to gain access to joining any operations. One of the only semi-requirements that I've ever followed when playing with a regiment is playing in the same region or hexes where they have established their main hub or base. Most regiments pick a specific hex or lane to focus their efforts throughout a war. I actually see this as a positive restriction. It helps me learn the area and gives me more ownership over the land. It also fills me with pride and gives me motivation to want to do well in these regions with our attacks and when we defend. Again, the idea that regiments strip players of their identity or freedom is a myth. Most regiments in Foxhole have loose command structures and offer casual, welcoming environments where you can contribute at your own pace while still enjoying the camaraderie and teamwork. Now let's talk a little bit about playing solo versus joining a regiment. I know plenty of new and veteran players who prefer to play Foxhole solo. Speaking from personal experience, I played Foxhole solo for my first 300 hours. During that time, I wanted to learn the game on my own, and I had that preconceived notion that joining a regiment would mean that I would be stuck in a scrap field or forced to follow strict schedules. However, when I joined FMAT for the first time, I quickly discovered that those assumptions were untrue. I found that in FMAT I could actually still play Foxhole solo if I wanted to. I didn't need to interact with anyone or be on at certain times. I could just continue to play casually and how I wanted. After spending some time with FMAT, I decided to return to solo play. While I still enjoyed solo play, I noticed that the game became more difficult and time-consuming. Tasks that once felt manageable took longer, and I found other players were less willing to collaborate with me since I didn't have a regiment tag. I don't blame them for this, it's just the nature of the game. Foxhole is fundamentally a team-based game. The developers designed it to encourage teamwork and collaboration, making it challenging to go it alone. Time and time again, I've seen players attempt ambitious projects like building a facility or a mega concrete base by themselves, only to burn out and quit the game a few weeks later. It needs to be noted that we all need to work together, whether you're in a regiment or you're a solo player. I guess what I'm trying to say with this segment of the video is that joining a regiment only benefits you as a player. There really is no downside as long as you find the right regiment. As someone who has experienced both solo and regiment play, one of the things I enjoyed the most about regiments is participating in organized operations. It was great to know that someone planned everything out, ensured we had the necessary supplies, and created a strategy. All I had to do was show up at the right time ready to fight. With that said, even though I'm in a regiment, I still enjoy hopping into random fronts and playing with casual players. So I think it's nice to have both options. I don't want to act like playing solo or in a regiment is better one way or the other though. It's really a personal decision. Each player should choose what works best for them based on their goals and their playstyle. Something I do want to bring up in this video while we are talking about solo players is that we as a Foxhole community should treat our solo players without regiment tags better. I would overall just like to see us create a more welcoming environment for these players instead of trying to alienate them from the rest of us. Another quick rant I would like to dive into is that we should stop saying clan man bad. The phrase clan man bad is thrown around in Foxhole a lot. By saying this, I believe we give new players the idea that every regiment is toxic in some way, when in reality most regiments are not toxic at all. I understand that some players dislike regiments because they communicate privately in Discord servers, manage fronts independently at times, or maintain large stockpiles of vehicles and resources. However, most regiments I've been a part of are willing to work with solo players. Many even invite solo players into Discord channels or squad chats to improve the communication when on the battlefield. And most regiments I've been in are happy to share resources if they're needed on the front lines. I won't sit here and try to pretend that every clan is like this though. There are certainly bad eggs out there. I'll end my clan man bad rant with this. People always remember the negative experiences more than the positive ones. Nobody talks about the regiment spending hours shelling an enemy bunker base on the front, but they will remember a random regiment player yelling at them for wrenching a private tank. Okay, now I promise my ranting is over. If you need examples of regiments doing great things, look at all the regiments we have that do public logistics for other players. We have regiments like CCF and HCNS who will build naval ships for solo players or small regiments. We have regiments like T3C, FMAT, and WLL who run public logistics and will take orders if you need specific supplies on the front. In the past, we've complained about facilities locking content away from smaller groups and new players, but every war it seems like there's a new regiment who's willing to do the hard work to give players access to this content. These items are not always free though. You still in some cases have to provide some payment of raw material, but at least you don't have to do all the facility building and maintenance, which saves casual clans and solo players a lot of time. There are a lot of great regiments out there that always want to lend a helping hand. I normally tell players to try out 2 to 3 regiments when they first start playing Foxhole. Pick a group that you like and that does stuff that you like to do. Also, picking a group that plays in the same time zone and that logs on at the same time as you really helps as well. You may at some point find that you want to make your own regiment. My tip for making a regiment would be to start your regiment with a few good friends. Maybe specialize in one area such as tanks or navy combat, or a specific kind of logistics. And once your regiment starts to grow, start to branch out and add more roles that other members can do. One question I get asked quite a bit is if I will ever start a regiment, and the answer is no. Unfortunately, I don't have time to organize a regiment or lead operations. I wouldn't want to waste anyone's time or let them down. Ultimately, you can enjoy Foxhole whether you play as part of a regiment or as a solo player. Joining a regiment offers a chance to be more organized and collaborate with others on a larger scale, which can be especially helpful if you're interested in facilities or naval gameplay. So is it worth joining one? I'd say go for it. There's no cost to trying it out, and it's simply a different way to experience the game. There are a lot of great communities in Foxhole to meet out there. And with that, one last thing I wanted to talk to you about is how to find a good regiment. There is a channel in the official Foxhole Discord for recruiting if you want to try and find a clan there, but in my opinion, that channel is not really great for finding the right group to play with. And because I don't think that channel is a great way to find a regiment, I'm creating my own regiment document to help new players or vet players find a regiment that best suits their needs. I know there have been attempts at this in the past, but as an active community member in Foxhole, I believe that I can build a team and keep this document up to date with the best regiment choices in Foxhole. But of course, I will need your help. Have a representative from your regiment join my Discord in the description below. Have them give me all the necessary information that I need, and I will add your regiment to the list. This document will be shared for everyone to use. I will make sure to leave a link in the description below. If you are someone trying to find a regiment, join my Discord and I will help you find the right one. I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. And one last thing I would highly recommend checking out is Gremblow's new series over on his YouTube channel. He just started creating videos about regiments in Foxhole. He goes in depth about each regiment and interviews players and their leaders. I think it's a great way to showcase all the amazing groups that we have in this game. I will make sure to leave a link to his channel in the description below. If you're thinking about making a regiment specific for airborne stuff, I would recommend you start recruiting now. I've already seen quite a few groups start to pop up. Let me know in the comments what you've liked about being in a regiment in Foxhole and some of the best experience or stories you have. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support. Make sure to subscribe for more Foxhole content. I'll see you out on the battlefield. Cheers.